The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show and Matt Landowski and Sweet Hand Sports. Our mission at Sweet Hand Sports is to gear you up for greatness. With our top tier gloves, you are set to grip, win, and dominate. Grip your victory and leave your mark on the game. Sweet Hand Sports brings you batting gloves and now golf gloves that are designed to be durable and breathable. Go to sweethandsports.com, use the promo code BONO10 and save yourself 10%. Grip your victory at Sweet Hand Sports. Once again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10 to save yourself 10%. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming product at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of their suppliers are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. He has sent me a complimentary bottle of their beard balm. My beard has never felt softer. It has never been more tamed and has never grown faster or looked healthier. I've been using these products for a little while now, and I love every minute of it. Once again, buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 15%. Next, we are brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood. The Tactical Brotherhood is a movement to support America. We believe that there is a gap in focus when it comes to companies that support America. We want to be the front lines of supporting Americans and are determined to find something worth being proud of in every aspect of our military, starting with the men and women who serve and protect us. Our mission is simple: to unite like-minded individuals by celebrating what makes each one of us unique Americans. You don't have to be a veteran to join us. You just have to love America. Go to tacticalbrotherhood.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, the tacticalbrotherhood.com, promo code Mike Bono, save yourself 10%. Next, we are brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company brought to you by first responders for first responders. They are a clothing apparel company that helps those who have worked through the COVID-19 pandemic and also for all the first responders with their mental and physical health. Deemed Fit donates 100% of their net profits from the Never Forget collection sales to the Tunnel of Towers Foundation to support those from 9/11. Once again, go to deemedfit.com. Check out all of their great products. All of them have great messages. They fit and look great. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 10%. By supporting Deemed Fit through your own purchase, gifts bought for your friends, family, and colleagues, or by becoming one of our brand ambassadors, you become part of the Deemed Fit family. Don't miss out on this great way to help and support everyone who has helped and supported our country. Deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Next, we have Shankit Golf. Shankit Golf is golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We're not going to go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but we are going to give you the gear to help you rock it on and off of the course. Our goal here at Shankit Golf is for everyone to have a great time on and off of the course, and we're going to help you look great while doing it. Go to shankitgolf.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, shankitgolf.com, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Web Western. Web Western is for those who roll up their sleeves and do what it takes to get the job done. The arrow serves as a constant reminder to be a straight shooter, no excuses, no bullshit, just honest hard work. It's a brand that reflects the passion within us to lend a hand when it is needed, fight to protect our God-given rights, and live life like there is no tomorrow. Be a straight shooter. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I got a special roundtable for today, one I've been trying to do for a couple of years as a big NASCAR fan myself. We are going to be talking all things NASCAR. I got a panel of guests that we're going to be sitting here and talking all things about it here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And gentlemen, you know we can't get through these intros without having some fitty questions to start out with. So I need you to introduce yourself with your name. What is your middle name? And what is your favorite gas station to get gas at? And Tony, we're going to start with you.
Hey, my name's Tony Bogan. My middle name is Lamont, like Lamont Sanford of Sanford and Son. And my favorite gas station, honestly, my favorite gas station, honestly, is whatever's cheaper. And lately it's been Speedway, so Speedway.
I gotcha. Next, we're gonna Lamont. It just got me. I honestly, I had no idea, Tony, and that is perfect for you for sure. But next, we're gonna go to the goat, Mike.
Mike Worrell. Middle name is Lee. And out here in Illinois, I rotate my gas between Circle K and Casey's General Stores.
Okay. All right. And last but not least, we're gonna go to D. Frank.
My middle name is Alan, and my favorite gas station, like all basic middle class truck driving white dudes, is Sam's Club because it's 30 cents a gallon cheaper than everybody else.
Gotcha. Gotta save that buck when you can. Everybody knows me, Mike Bono. Middle name Anthony, the most Italian thing possible with my name. Had to be Anthony. Favorite gas station to shop at right now is Speedway because I get those reward points. So I get the 30 cents off a gallon with how much I shop at Speedway and everything I get with the rewards. But it is the cheapest around here in a little town, Zanesville, Ohio, near Columbus. So that's it for me. But we're not here to talk about all that. Well, we might be because we're talking about NASCAR. We're going to be talking about all that, but we're going to get into that. And Tony, with you being my resident fan here too as well, and Mike, I know you are too, but I know Tony's been for a little while here. This has been a big debate for me for being a longtime NASCAR fan. And are race car drivers athletes in your opinion?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know why that's a debate. I mean, imagine driving for 3.5, 4 hours in a 140-degree car. Like you got to wear gloves. It's not like a typical passenger car where you could just stick your hand out the window and feel a breeze. You got to actually wear gloves. You got to wear heat shields. Sometimes your cool suit don't work. So you got to look up the 1998 Auto Care 500. Ricky Rudd won that race. It was like he was boiling in that thing, and it was 98 degrees to boot.
I
So
was gonna say you don't got to tell me to look that up. I know who won that race. What was going on with that one? I watched that one
if I
in
spoiled it, I'm
'98.
not sorry.
Yeah, I say no. I remember watching that one live when it happened. But Mike, let's go to you next.
I think the NASCAR drivers are athletes in their own way. Like Tony said, it's 3.5 to 4 hours, and especially when it's hot out in the summer in those races. It takes a lot of out of a person, and you have to have stamina and be mentally tough to drive them that long, to concentrate and try to not make mistakes. And didn't Stephen A. Smith recently say NASCAR drivers were not athletes? I
Yeah,
believe he I believe he said that, but I think they're athletes in their own way. You know, I think it was Ryan Blaney last week in San Diego. His heat, the cool, whatever it's called in
the cool
their
suit.
driving, yeah, went out, and they had to take him to the medical center afterwards from heat exhaustion. So it's
Yeah,
can be quite treacherous.
that's something we're gonna get into because that's been a sticking point with me these past couple of years is these school suits. But D. Frank, what about you? Are NASCAR drivers athletes?
Well, it's a little bit like fishing or bowling, anything that you can do while you're drinking. I don't know that you could really be considered truly an athlete. No, back in the day when the NASCAR drivers would be smoking heaters while they were driving, I don't really think those guys were tremendous athletes. However, you got guys like Dale Jarrett and some of these guys that were like all-state basketball players too. And I think most of the guys now are fairly athletic. Now, is being a NASCAR driver being an athlete? I don't know. Is a golfer being an athlete? Sure. It's more of a skill, I think, than athletics, but that's just me.
I got you. I am on the athlete train with this one. I've been saying it for years. I mean, just the G forces that they feel in the car going 200 plus miles an hour and being able to control that car. I know what it's like trying to make a turn sometimes when I'm driving and I'm doing 80, 90 miles an hour and how tough it feels to turn that wheel and how much you have to put behind it. So to be able to control that for 2 or 3 hours at 200 miles an hour and not just absolutely plow into the guy in front of you. Like Mike said, mentally tough, like most athletes have to be mentally sharp. The smallest mistake in being off your line that you're driving could cost you 3 or 4 spots. It costs you a couple miles an hour, a couple seconds here and there. As a swimmer, I know the timing with how much a tenth of a second, a hundredth of a second could impact the race. And that to me, being able to do that, being able to withstand that G force for that long makes them athletes in my point in time, because you have to be physically tough to be able to sit into that car and experience that. And like you said, I mean, not pass out during the race with the cool suits. We're gonna get into that. Mike, looks like you had something to add there, or
Yeah, I was going to add, and I forgot that I feel like the pit crew guys in these NASCAR teams are maybe more athletic than the drivers. I know there's a lot of ex-college football players.
yeah,
They don't talk about every crew each week, but every once in a while they'll focus on a couple. And it seems like every crew has a one or two big time college football players on that crew.
a lot of SEC teams, athletes, football players are going to NASCAR. I see a lot of Alabama. I see a lot of Georgia, a lot of Florida's in there. Big time Division I college athletes that are there. I mean, you're filling a race car full of gas, changing 4 tires, making a few adjustments here and there with wedge and tire pressure and that, and you're doing it in 9 seconds. I mean, I know how long it takes me to change a tire. It's way longer than 9 seconds that I'm changing 1 tire. So, like, I get that. Like the pit crews don't get the love that I think that they should during these races and that, just for what they're able to do. The gas cans, I mean, you're looking at anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds. These guys are carrying around like it's nothing, putting it in the perfect spot to fill up the gas tank and filling it full of fuel in 9.6 seconds. This past weekend, I watched was one of the fastest pit stops that I saw. And yeah, that was 4 tires and a full tank of gas. I wish I had that kind of timing. If I'm going to Speedway to get some gas, have somebody come in, fill me up full of fuel, and rotate the tires in 9 seconds and in and out of there, that'd be great for me. But one thing that has been sticking with me with them being athletes and everything like that, like I said, what their bodies are going through, there's been a lot of talk lately. The cool suits, we mentioned it there with if they're athletes or not. They seem to be failing every week. There's a driver or a team where summer months these cool suits just aren't holding up. What do you think could be the issue with that? Is it the is it the heat? Are these not made well enough? Like what could possibly be going wrong when we got a billion-dollar industry in NASCAR and we can't get a cool suit right? And D. Frank, let's start with you. You're on mute, D. Frank.
Oh shit! Sorry. I'm still going back to this athlete thing. I'm sorry, Mike. When the pit crew's more athletic than the driver, sometimes I can't. Can you run that one back for me real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the pit crews are. I mean, obviously, they're, my opinion, they're the better athletes than the actual drivers. I mean, these guys are carrying tires. Well, what we talking? 50 pounds for a tire? I mean, I don't know what a tire weighs. I'm not gonna lie to you here. I don't know what a race car tire weighs. The gas cans are anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds. They're putting it in a perfect spot. A lot of SEC, a lot of Alabama, a lot of Florida, a lot of Georgia's former football players that are transitioning over into NASCAR. They're changing 4 tires, filling it full of fuel. This past race, you're looking at 9.6 seconds was the slowest pit time that I saw there. So by far, I'm not saying that these pit crew members aren't athletes. I'm not saying that the drivers aren't athletes. I think what their bodies go through makes them, you have to be in some type of physical shape to be able to control that car. But the pit crews by far are the better athletes and can make or break a race.
Absolutely.
Okay. What about the cool suits there too as well? We're going to transition to that. Yeah, I know we talked about the athletes, but the cool suits seem to fail. Like I said, like every race, we're talking about a guy that you hear him on the radio talking to his crew chief and his pit crew. Hey, cool suit's not working. It's 140 degrees in here. We need to get me cool so that I can finish this race. Why do you think
I
these
guess,
cool suits are failing?
It's just a little bit of the wussification of America, right? I mean, they used to ride without them before, and they were fine. I think that, as we've moved closer and closer, the equipment's gotten better. It's a little like golf, right? Make these guys go play with, the stuff that the guys played with in the 50s, and see what kind of scores they put up. I think it's cheating a little bit, but I think that cool suit or not, they should be able to drive the car.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Tony, what about you?
Oh, my bad. I was on mute.
Yep.
Yeah, if a cool suit fails, that's definitely not good. If it fails and it's say 50, 60 degrees outside, that's not that big of a deal. But if it's like 80, 90, 100 degrees out, like if you're racing in Vegas or Darlington or Charlotte, especially during the 600, that could cause an issue or two. And sometimes like the solution will be like throw big bags of ice or dump a bunch of ice cubes on them on the driver at the pit stop. So a cool suit being like isn't a deal breaker, but it can be. It can definitely be depending on the temperature and the driver, because Casey Kane had to retire because of sickness because of something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we got guys going to the medical center. I mean, I'll give my opinion here in a second, but Mike, what about you?
I don't know that much about them. I just hear the announcers talk about the drivers having those, and what was mentioned earlier, I guarantee in the 70s and 80s they weren't wearing those type of cool suits. Dale Earnhardt didn't even have a full face helmet.
Right.
He raced with the open helmet, but yeah, Casey Kane still racing. By the way, he owns a sprint car team, and he'll race a few times in the sprint car on dirt still. But the cool suit, I don't. Yeah, those longer races when it's 80, like this weekend, I think they're in Atlanta, but it's going to be hot. It's they don't get a break, and when they come into pit, go out and go to the bathroom or anything. So I think it's definitely something they need in those hot races when it's 90 degrees out.
Yeah, the Charlotte race in the summer, we're racing 600 miles, and it's a 4.5, 5 hour plus race. I mean, at probably 140 degrees in that car. I mean, it wears on your body. Last week, or that San Diego last week, I think it was, where Blaney had to be taken to the medical center for dehydration and heat exhaustion and everything like that. I mean, obviously, every sport is moving towards how can we make these athletes safer? How can we make our players safer, and it's safe for everybody? And for the younger generation, like, okay, there's been a big lull in youth sports, especially with football, all the CTE that's coming out. Parents aren't wanting to get their kids into contact sports because they don't think it's safe for their kid to play. I think we need to move to a little bit of a safer, but the cool suits, I mean, yeah, it's beneficial in the summer months. I don't think they're wearing it in the spring and the fall. It's mainly those couple of months there in the middle of the season, right in the heart of when we're making that big playoff push to see who's going to be racing for a championship, where these drivers need to be cool. I mean, they Mike mentioned it there. You don't get a break. There's not like, okay, we're going to have a TV timeout, get a water break, get some fluids in you, and then get back out there and get after it. These guys are trying to do that while driving, excess of anywhere from 100 to 200 miles an hour, which is insane to me, to be able to do that and make the perfect turn, the perfect line, being able to draft up to a guy, make a move late in the race, and be able to be cognitive enough to do that. That to me is more beneficial than being physically strong enough to withstand the G-forces and make that turn every single time and hit those right spots, is to keep the athlete safe. Nobody wants to see anything bad happen to a driver or a career get cut short because of medical issues. I mean, not being able to compete at the highest level. I don't know what's going on with these school suits. I think there needs to be something that needs to be done with them so that they're not failing. I don't know if it's the technology they're putting into them. Hell, I know back in the early 2000s when I was playing football, they still had the Under Armour that was for warm weather games that kept you cool. Like, if that worked in from 2001 to 2007 when I was playing football, why can't we get that in NASCAR right now? Why can't we make this work? I never had an issue with any Under Armour failing on me in hot games when I knew it was going to be super hot and people were looking at me like, how are you wearing sleeves? It's like, well, this is keeping me cool. This isn't like to keep me warm. This is actually keeping me cool, keeping my body temperature regulated while I'm in a game. Why can't we make that happen in NASCAR? Is it just going back to old school ways? Who knows? But that's
Like Under Armour doesn't sponsor NASCAR, man.
they need to. I mean, hell, okay. Michael Jordan owns a team in NASCAR, a 4-car team in NASCAR. You mean to tell me Jordan doesn't have enough money to get Under Armour on board? I know he's with Nike, but like he can't get something like that and get
Jordan's
it in
his
here.
own brand. He doesn't need to.
I mean, I never said he needed to. I'm just saying he can't do it. Like he's got 2 drivers that are going to be driving for a championship. He's laughing all over
Potentially
the bank.
potentially a third down the line.
Yeah.
Corey Hahn.
Yep, that's who it is. Yep, I was there. I know it's Bubba Wallace and Reddick, who's just been dominant at the start of the season. But yeah, I mean, you got 3 drivers that are going to be racing for a championship. You've won a bunch of races, including the biggest race of the year, the Daytona 500. Like, we got to have something to be able to make your driver safe. But D-Frank, not to cut you off, but where were you going with that?
No, just hey, 1.6 billion Arabs. They were in long sleeves the whole time. Like, there's something to that. Coaching football, I started wearing long sleeves all the time, and I've noticed it's decidedly cooler. This just real light, long sleeve kind of the Under Armour type material. There's something to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be something that these guys can do underneath that fire suit to keep them cool for sure. Kind of going off of that too as well, Mike. Let's start with you on this one. Do you think NASCAR and racing in general has gotten safer since Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s death?
I think so. I'm more of a sprint car guy on dirt, World of Outlaws, and
Yeah,
some of that's trickled down to the dirt track racing. Yeah, that's when that happened. That's all NASCAR they really talked about for the next 2-3 years, and safe barriers on the track, for the walls. And although Christopher Bell took a bad one a few weeks ago and broke his wrist, and
yeah,
you're still it's a dangerous sport. I mean, it's sprint cars. There's still guys getting hurt all the time. But back in the 70s, my dad raced late 60s, 70s, like guys are getting maimed, a lot of the times, fires, other types of crashes, and even the Indy cars, I think, are safer. It seemed to me it was like a death trap in the 60s, 70s, into the 80s. I think the cars were even designed different than the Indy cars. But yeah, I think since the Earnhardt tragedy, I think all forms of racing are somewhat safer.
yeah. I definitely have to agree with that. Tony, what about you?
I would have to say it's become 1,000% safer, especially given some of the wrecks that we've seen after Dale Earnhardt's passing. Some of those wrecks in the older cars probably would have, if not seriously injured, probably killed some of the drivers.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we got the Hans device. We've got roll cages and stuff like that. And especially even in IndyCar, they've made their safety upgrades. I know this isn't all things IndyCar, but it still ties into racing.
Oh yeah.
But I think that racing has gotten, even though there are going to be risks, like even especially with the Gen 7 car, which the way it was designed unfortunately led to Kurt Busch having to retire early and not getting the retirement he deserved. But NASCAR is always, I'll give them credit, they're always trying to innovate in the name of safety. Even if they're not perfect, they're doing what they can to at least make sure the drivers are safe.
I got you. D-Frag, round us out on this one.
All right, so I agree with you. The Hans device and some of the safety things with the car, I'm 100% okay with. And the day that Dale Earnhardt died was the day that my NASCAR viewership started to wither away on the vine. But tomorrow night, and I'm not sure where we're airing this, Mike, but July 8th is the Rick Briggs Memorial, sponsored by Dave Warren Power Sports in Bust-Eye, New York, where you can come out and watch the World of Outlaws. Shout out to my guy Beef, who he does the shocks for Martin Dynamics. I've gotten so much more interested in watching dirt track. It's so fun to watch. And there is a little bit more of that kind of old school cowboy feel to it. And I'm going to tell you, Tony, I agree with you about all the safety with the drivers and everything. But I'm going to tell you the biggest thing is they're running these cookie cutter tracks, man. They stopped running some of the classics, where the North Wilkesboro and some of these like iconic NASCAR tracks that really kind of service the fans too. And they've gotten too corporate by running these big, giant oval garbage tracks.
I agree. NASCAR's popularity has dropped, in my opinion, by leaving some of their traditional tracks, which takes away some of their traditional Southern fans that have been with them since the 50s. So I agree that's hurt NASCAR big time. So you're going to the World of Outlaw late model race tomorrow?
Not going to make it. I got football, but my old defensive coordinator is one of the big time dudes that's pumping all the shocks for all these guys. And so I'll be watching it as soon as I get done.
Yeah,
I'll be watching. I'll be watching on my Dirt Vision.
Absolutely. D-Frank, not for nothing. This show's airing on the 8th. Like, that was the perfect plug. Like, this is going to come out the day that is happening. I hope it increases the viewership for that, for sure. I'm all about dirt track. A lot of these NASCAR guys are coming from these sprint dirt racers. A lot of them are. I love watching the dirt racers. Just to see somebody that literally looks like, oh, dude, he's going to spin. He's out. There's no way he's in control of that car. And to keep that in control, so entertaining to me. I think, going back to the question, it 1,000% that NASCAR has gotten safer barriers, the Hans devices. Everyone says like they were starting to like integrate the Hans devices and everything like that. And I can't even think of what it's called, but the head restraints that they had to keep the driver's heads from bouncing around when they are wrecking. Earnhardt was supposed to have that, and he said he was just that old school racer where he wouldn't want anything like that. And you know what? To each their own. I don't blame him for that. He had gone his entire life racing without that, so to introduce something that's completely foreign to him was going to affect the way he drove. But NASCAR is 1,000% safer. I've been to Daytona, not the 500, the summer race. At the time, it was the Coca-Cola 500. I watched a guy come off of turn 2, completely sideways, hit the apron, flipped 32 times. I watched the chassis and the engine fly out of the car. When it came to a stop, he climbed out, waved to the fans, and walked off under his own power. Like, you tell me in the 70s and 80s if that were to happen, I don't think that guy's walking away from that easily and waving to the fans and letting them know that he was all right.
Or at least not without some serious cuts and scrapes.
Yeah, I mean, didn't look like there was a scratch on him. Like, just waved, took his helmet off, let everybody know he was fine, and walked away. I mean, probably with some bumps and bruises, but nothing compared to what it could have been. So these cars are a lot safer. The Gen 7 cars, I mean, they are designed to be safer. They don't crumple like you're used to seeing in NASCAR. I've seen people. Yeah, I've seen people just start rubbing, and then their front end is completely. You can do a lot more rubbing in these Gen 7 cars, which makes for a lot more aggressive driving, I think, by a lot of these drivers, because you can bump people. You're not going to affect your car. You're not going to affect the aerodynamics of that in the slightest. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of downsides to the Gen 7 car with that. I mean, you sacrifice a little bit of the performance for the safety, where you got to find that balance. I don't know that the Gen 7 car is it, and I'm sure in the next year or two, we're going to have the Gen 8 car, and there's going to be something else new with it, and it's going to completely change how these guys race. for this next couple of questions I have here, I want to set this up here. D. Frank, how did you get into racing in NASCAR?
So I worked for Green's Pine Avenue Beer in Erie, Pennsylvania,
Nice.
and Denny Green and Green Family Racing was big. I was kind of new to it, and I worked for him in college at a beer distributor. And we used to get all this sweet beer swag that was coming in, all the Miller Lite Rusty Wallace and all the obviously the Dale Earnhardt, the 8 stuff. And I started following along, and that was kind of, I think, the height, of it. And then Brian France Jr. came in and just corporatized everything. And my viewership started to go from where I was watching a race every other weekend or so to where, I was watching just the big ones. It was a little bit, again, like golf, where I'm watching the majors. Sure, I'll watch Daytona. Sure, I'll watch Talladega. But, other than that, it's not appointment viewing for me anymore. And it's really kind of, it's shifted to the dirt, man. I'd much rather go watch a dirt track race than sit around watching a NASCAR race on a Sunday night.
I get that 1,000%. We mentioned it there in the last topic with some of these iconic tracks that they've gotten away from. I was so happy this past weekend that they were racing back at Chicagoland. It's been over a decade since they've raced at Chicagoland, and that speedway. It's a mile and a half. It's not a short track, but it's not these big super speedways. There's a lot of bumping, and I mean, you're talking about half a car length to decide who wins the race. That's entertaining racing to me. And to bring that back after almost a decade, and I know Dale Jr. has been doing a lot. He's going to all these older tracks that are just overgrown. They haven't raced there. They haven't kept up with it. I mean, he's restoring a lot of these to bring them back to NASCAR, and I hope it happens. We need to bring back these iconic tracks, and I hope Chicagoland is in there because it was an entertaining race. I'm one of these guys. I'm watching every Sunday. I don't watch the road courses as much anymore. It's just that's I don't know what it is about road courses. I can't get into them. That and there's like 3 or 4 drivers that's just like they're going to dominate those. It's like watching Alabama football in the early 2000s. Like, all right, who are they playing in the national championship this year? Who do you think is going? Who's Alabama going to beat in the national championship? You got the new guys, this Shane Van Gisbergen, SVG, that everyone's been talking about, just dominating the road courses and everything like that. It's just it's not entertaining racing to me anymore. The road courses, but the big super speedways, obviously Daytona, Talladega, even Vegas now, Charlotte is good racing, but they need to bring back a lot of the old school tracks. But Tony, what about you? How did you get into NASCAR?
Honestly, when I was a little kid, just watching those different colored cars go around in circles, I was hooked to it, been hooked ever since. And as far as I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree with you on the road course thing, I actually look forward to road courses the most because SVG is just a dominating force. He's just that good. Yes, he has supercars background and won 3 championships, but to come in first race of your NASCAR career and just straight up win on your first start, that's something that
That's
not
unheard
even
of.
some of the best Hall of Fame drivers could pull off. And this guy did it. This New Zealander did it in his first race. And honestly, this may be a cold take a few years down the line when people listen to this. I think SVG is a dark horse for the Hall of Fame just for the road course stats alone. And that in restrictor plate races because I like the chaos of restrictor plate races.
Well, who doesn't love the chaos of pack racing where they're all bunched up and if anybody gets loose, it's going to be the big one. Everybody loves restrictor plate racing. SVG, don't get me wrong, he's a hell of a road racer. If he can get these mile and a halves and these super speedways under wraps, you might be right. I don't foresee him doing that. I don't know a lot of people that are coming from that era in the open wheels that have really made an impact Hall of Fame wise in NASCAR. I hope you're right, Tony, because I think
Do some supercars. He never
supercar.
raced them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're kind of built like NASCAR, but like over in Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah, I got you, Mike. What about you with this? How'd you get into NASCAR racing?
First, I agree with Tony. SVG's incredible in these road courses. It's unexplainable how he makes everybody else kind of look bad a lot of times when he's winning those races. But I'll disagree with that. I'm not a road course guy for NASCAR. To me, the road courses are more for Formula One and the Indy type cars, but I'll watch them anyway. But anyway, my dad raced when I was little in Ohio. My uncle owned a sprint car, so we've been going to sprint car races forever. So that's what we grew up on. I can't say I'm a NASCAR guy, but I'd watch it, especially in the summer. There's not much till football season starts. So I'd watch the NASCAR races, but I really got into it when the open wheel guys started coming in, when Dave Blaney made it. One of my favorite sprint car drivers of all time. So once he started in 98 or 99, then I followed it, religiously to watch him. And then, sprint car guys came in it, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart. Now there's Kyle Larson, Briscoe, Ricky Stenhouse. I used to watch Ricky Stenhouse's dad race sprint cars back in the late 70s, early 80s. And Briscoe's dad used to race, Kevin Briscoe. So I, followed all the open wheel sprint car. I had Christopher Bell. In fact, we have a racetrack here in town, a half mile from the house here, Jacksonville Speedway. I saw Larson here last year, won a World of Outlaws sprint car race, and Bell won one a few years ago. But so that's how I got started in NASCAR. I'd always watch it. You always wanted to see what. I'm older than you guys, so you always wanted to see what Darrell Waltrip and Earnhardt, Cale Yarborough was going to be. The Allison brothers, there used to be a lot more fights, Mono.
Oh, I love the pit fights and all that. In the '90s and that, that was entertaining to me. Like who's good, who's beating whose ass right now because they bumped him the wrong way.
So I love the open wheel guys coming in, but the true NASCAR fans probably didn't like seeing those type of guys come into their sport. Like they're not fighters. They're they're not Cale Yarborough, Earnhardt, Waltrip, Rusty Walt, those type of guys. It's just a different breed of race driver. And they're great race drivers, but I think the true NASCAR fans would probably like to go back to see the way it used to be, their type of drivers and controversy. And there's still a little controversy, but not like it was in the 70s and 80s.
No, there's definitely not. I lived for the controversy in the pits after the race, just seeing these guys nose to nose and then just start swinging. My favorite was Tony Stewart. He didn't give shit who you were or what it was. I've heard him. Buddy of mine, senior year after we graduated from high school, we decided we were going to take our senior trip ourselves, and there was a race. The race was in Pocono, so we decided we were going to go to the race in Pocono and spend the weekend there for our senior class trip. A couple of buddies of mine, and we did the whole experience. We got the headsets where we could listen to the drivers and tap into their communications, and I just had to start laughing. I was listening to Tony Stewart's radio, and I was like, dude, flip over to 20 if you want to be entertained for the rest of this race, because he is just giving his crew chief hell the entire time. And I'm going to apologize for anybody else here, but I'm going to cuss here and you just deal with it, because they were telling him what to do, and that his spotter and his crew chief just weren't. There was no breath. They didn't even give him a chance to talk. So finally, when there was a little bit of lull, he hit his radio and goes, "Hey guys, how about you just shut the fuck up and let me drive? Like, how about we do that?" And that type of attitude in NASCAR is what is needed. We need that kind of guy. And I think Austin Cindric can be that guy now. He's one of those races. He'll race you clean if you race him clean, but if you start to race him dirty, he's got a little Tony Stewart in him, and he doesn't care who you are. I think he can bring that old school fire back to the NASCAR, and I'm a Cindric fan for that reason.
I say Carson Hocevar.
Hocevar's getting there. Hocevar's getting there. Yeah,
he's already got the black number 77, and he rode the dent to the win at Talladega.
Absolutely. Mike, what you got?
I was going to say, a lot of guys that hit the big time in NASCAR, they didn't race where their roots were. A lot of them, their local tracks, whether it be asphalt or dirt track racing. But Kyle Larson will still race 30 to 40 sprint car races a year, usually during the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday races when NASCAR is off. In fact, he won 3 straight sprint car races about a month ago in Wisconsin. But those, that's where like him, Tony Stewart would still race sprint cars during the midweek.
Yeah.
That's where those guys became legends. You should have seen the fans out here when Larson rolled in the last couple of years on a Wednesday night to a World of Outlaw race. Your local track, those guys are still like wanting to race dirt tracks where they grew up, what they grew up doing. But a lot of them just get to the big time. But I understand that's all they want to do is focus on their NASCAR career. Some of the guys still go back to the roots of racing.
Yeah, and Larson, he's a hard-nosed driver, but something about him just pisses me off, like to no extent. Like he could be driving, it could just be 4 wheels and just a steering wheel, and he'll be like 4 laps down with 10 laps to go, and somehow finish in the top 5. I don't know how this man does it. I don't know what deal he's made, but for somehow, like he always finds himself in the front of the pack when it matters, and his cars are destroyed. Like, how are you this good at racing? And Mike, I think you make a great point. Like, he just sticks to his roots. He still races dirt. He still races sprint, and the dude just doesn't have a day off. Like he's forever racing, and I think that helps him out, and I think that keeps him gritty.
Too.
What's that?
He did the double as well. Raced at Indy and Charlotte.
Yeah.
Tony Stewart did the double as well.
Yeah.
Kurt Busch attempted the double. I know
not a lot of success in the double, but to be able to do it is a feat of its own. To do the Indy 500 and then the 600 right after that's impressive.
It was a thrown together effort, but Catherine Legg not only became the first woman, but the oldest driver to do the double.
Yeah. This year, her being able to do that was an impressive feat. Guys, I want to round out this episode here with this last question here. And D. Frank, we're going to start to you. And are you a fan of just going to races in general? It doesn't have to be NASCAR, but are you a fan of actually being live at the races?
Yeah, it's one of those things, like some people think baseball is boring. I think NASCAR is infinitely better to go watch in person. I think it's just one of those things where the nuances and watching the speed and, especially if you know what's going on, a little like hockey too, it's a much better game to go watch in person than to watch on TV. And, and I think you get more of a flavor in the personalities, and it goes all the way back to, Handsome Harry and the Skull Bandit, and you go into guys like Dale Jarrett all the way, until NASCAR died, in my opinion, when they let Jimmy Johnson win every race. So that was, I think, such a big thing. I saw the Coca-Cola 600, Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. I can remember exactly where I was. I can remember how drunk I was on Keystone Ice and how beautiful it was, like a perfect 80-degree day. And it's just one of those things that, yeah, absolutely, in person over on TV.
Absolutely. Tony, what about you?
Me and my mom went to one race, and we couldn't stand the smells. This was when the Cleveland Grand Prix was a thing. We were down there for like maybe an hour, couldn't stand the smell, and left. If I had a chance to, now that I'm older, possibly see if I could cover something like the Cleveland Grand Prix, I'd do it. But I've just mainly 99.999% of all the racing that I've seen over the 25 years, I've just watched on TV or looked up old clips on YouTube. So until I actually go see a race in person, I will probably just say it's better on TV.
Okay. Mike, what about you?
100% agree with D. Frank. Like, totally different in person watching a race. I get the dirt vision and flow racing, so I can watch, all the World of Outlaw stuff, sprint cars, late models, the modifieds. And the only NASCAR I've been to is qualifying up in Chicagoland. I went 3 or 4 straight years. And then they have a dirt track and a drag strip right across all in that complex. So the Outlaws would race that night, sprint cars. So we'd go watch qualifying NASCAR. and have one or two cars on the track, NASCAR, as loud as one car is, I can't imagine the noise when 40 cars are going at one time. But the sprint cars, the noise, the fumes coming out of the car, like I like watching them on TV and that, but if you haven't experienced it in person, there's nothing like it. But I'd also like to throw in the hockey comment. I'd never watched a hockey game in my life. 3 years ago, both my daughters are in St. Louis. They started going to St. Louis Blues games, and we've been to a couple each year since then. I kid you not. I'm an NFL fan, NBA. That's the best crowd of any pro sports event I've ever been to. St. Louis Blues game. It's incredible. And I turn the game on TV. I can't even see the puck in a hockey. Can't stand watch it. But in person, you can see everything, and it's incredible. So same as the race, like the horsepower of NASCAR, sprint cars, and all that, and one race I'd like to go to, and this is off NASCAR. My brothers went to the Indy 500 the last 3 years. He said it's unbelievable. 350,000 people there this past year, and he's going to go every year now to that. And I'd like to attend that, but I would like to go to a NASCAR race. Seen the qualifying like 3 times, but I almost went to St. Louis when they were down there this year and didn't make it, or last year. So I'm going to hit at least one NASCAR race before I'm gone.
Yeah, it's an experience. I've been to Pocono and I've been to Daytona. Just the roar of the engines, that you could feel it in your chest. The best thing for me was being at Daytona. We were right off of turn 2, coming down the backstretch where our seats were. We were sitting up high to start out with, and there was a little bit of a rain delay. It was like one of the last couple of days of a family vacation, one of the last ones we took before everyone was all grown and moved away. And I still remember my dad. He goes, "The amount of money I spent on these tickets, we're staying. I don't care how long this race goes. We are staying until this thing is over." And a lot of people left. And we moved down to the front just to get the full experience of 35 cars coming screaming by you at 200 miles an hour. And I got to tell you, what blew me the most is I remember watching them go by real quick. And I'm like, I thought it'd be windier. And I look back, and then that wind comes like a second or two later and then just smacks you in the face when you're down there. That's an experience. And also, somebody told me, and I didn't believe him until I actually tried it, is if you set your drink down, no matter what it is, in the cup holder, when the cars go by, if the lid's not on it, you could actually watch your drink float out of the cup and then fall back in when they're done, just from the sheer horsepower of them going by. And if I didn't try it myself, I wouldn't have believed them. I saw it firsthand. It's an awesome experience being at a track, but you got to be sitting up high. Like most people are like, I don't want these nosebleed seats. No, NASCAR, those are the good seats. Those are the most expensive seats because you can see the whole track. You can see what's going on. But for me, 1,000% being at a NASCAR event or a race in general live is 10 times better. What were you going to add there, Mike?
I do have a couple of pet peeves in NASCAR I'd like to throw in here before we're done.
Absolutely.
One is the stage things I don't like.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that in. And then after like a stage 1, they'll go like 6 laps, 7 before they throw the green again. Like a sprint car race now, they go yellow. The car that spun out, whatever, they get it out. They're back to green pretty quick. NASCAR then the commercials on TV, and then it takes them forever to get back going again. That's my pet peeves right there.
I agree. Honestly, keep the stages, but get rid of the cautions. I'm fine with the stages, but also a caveat: add in some points from perks for leading the lap. Add a point for the pole. Points for leading a lap, points for leading the most laps.
I still don't understand the point system.
The point system, they've gone off the rails with the points. I'm glad they're back to the chase format, where just because you win a race doesn't automatically mean you're in the playoff. I like that, because you were getting these guys that would luck into a win and be in the playoff and be out in the first round. And it's not, doesn't make for good racing for that. I like the stages. You're absolutely right, Mike. There are way too many damn caution laps after the stage. Let's stage win. Like, okay, cool. You won the stage. We're going to give you 2 laps to get in, fuel up, get your pits in, get your tires right, and then we're back racing. So that's 1 lap to get into the pits, 1 more lap to get everybody lined back up, and then we're off. Like, we don't need 6 or 7 caution laps after a stage.
I agree.
If they got to clean some stuff off the track, oil, dirt, whatever it is that from a big wreck, I understand that. If it's a stage end, no, you're getting 2 and we're done.
No, if it's a stage end, you keep racing. You just run your top 10. You start the next stage.
Keep moving. Continuing, yeah.
Okay. I don't hate that either. I don't hate that. Let's keep racing.
I will say, Bono, those 6-lap cautions or whatever does give me time to go get a Mountain Dew and go to the bathroom. I will say,
it makes me. I can go get a new Mick Ultra. You know what I mean? I'm trying to watch Dad Bod a little bit. You know what I mean? So we're trying to keep that low-cal beer here at the Bono household. I'm not like D. Frank crushing Busch Lights during the whole show there, which I approve so much. I approve of that.
Apples, baby.
But yeah, that's I like that's not throw the caution. I never even thought of that. Okay, you won the stage. We're still racing. Like the stage is okay. Stage is over. We got our top 10. Let's keep racing. Unless there's a wreck or something like that. We're gonna have green flag stops in some of these stages anyways. Let's just continue with the green flag stops. It adds a whole new strategy to that. I could have a whole other show. Go ahead, Dave Frank. You got something?
No, I guess I wanted to make sure that one thing got said here in closing, and that is, I'm as casual of a NASCAR fan as you're going to find, and while I enjoy it, until they start getting some of the big personalities and some of the ripping off some of the corporate garbage, Tony Stewart was the last John Wayne in this town, and I hope you guys are right that some of these young guys are coming up and got a little piss in them because it became boring and. It was the super speedways and Jimmy Johnson and every weekend it was like it was like watching WWE. So I felt like I needed to say that because Mike, you have great fans out here, and these people need to know that let's bring back NASCAR, let's bring back Darlington, let's bring back North Wilkesboro, let's bring back all the classic tracks, and let's bring back a little fire.
And I got one more thing to add on to that. D. Frank, you're right. Let's put the All-Star race back at Charlotte, the Clash at Daytona. And honestly, controversial take, caution races can end under yellow. None of this green, white, checkered stuff. It ends at the scheduled distance, and if fans want to boo-hoo and cry, well, maybe, hey, you had 300 some odd laps to be clean. If there's a caution with 2 to go, oh, well, you had 298 laps. You chose till 299 to wreck. Oh, well, boo-hoo. You should have thought about that.
I don't hate that. Races used to end under caution all the time back in the day. I don't hate that. I could have a whole show just on the damn rules and everything like that. Mike, last words, and then we're going to get out of here.
Ward of Outlaw Sprint car races on dirt. 40 laps, all green flag racing laps. No caution count. All green flag laps.
Oh, I like that one. All green flag. No caution.
Go Ryan Blaney.
Absolutely. I'm a Blaney fan. I'm rooting for Blaney every year now. I watched his dad growing up, but if I keep talking, we're going to get the show into 2 hours, and that's just not going to be good for anybody here. But so on that note, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank all of my guests, the GOAT, Mike Worrell, Tony Bogan, and D. Frank for joining the show here. A lot of fun to talk NASCAR. I could talk about NASCAR all day long, but as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They're going to like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody.
To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going.